Okay, so here's the old design for the sleeve. Takes it and threads on to the tie rod end. When you get it adjusted to the length that you want it, you take these little collars right here that wrap around the sleeve and you tighten them down. And you see that groove right there in the sleeve. When you tighten the collars down, it pinches the entire sleeve around the threads and makes it tight, because like right now it's loose. Until you tighten those down, and then it stays put. That's what keeps it from moving around, and it keeps the tie rods at the length that you adjust them to, so you don't lose your alignment. Well, what had happened was these little collars right here that are supposed to tighten down, I don't know what happened to them. They stretched or something, and they got to where they would tighten all the way down, and these two ends of them would touch each other, and it wouldn't tighten enough to tighten the sleeve down where it wouldn't move, so it was still loose even with the collars tightened all the way down. So that is where. Alright, so this is the old design. This is the new one. This is the Cunningham machine tie rod sleeve, and it's a much better design. It's just got two jam nuts. Thread one on, thread the sleeve on, have the other jam nut on the other tie rod end, thread it into the other side of the sleeve, and you just adjust it to your length and then run the jam nuts down, and it can't go anywhere, can't move, can't stretch, can't loosen up. Way more better design. So the sleeve has right hand thread side and left hand thread side. The left hand thread side is marked with a little part that's machined right there. And then your two jam nuts. You've got a left-handed jam nut which has little score marks on the corners of the nut, and you have a right-handed nut which is just like regular smooth. So regular jam nut goes all the way on there. Then you put your sleeve on there. Alright, and once you get it adjusted to the length that you want, you just take your jam nut, run it down, snug it up, and that would be on both ends, because when you're adjusting it, you have the other tie rod end attached in this end with another jam nut on that end. And then you do your adjustment and it should stay put, won't go anywhere, won't have any stretching or anything like that. Alright, so back under the truck, this is the inner tie rod end right here. So you're going to run your jam nut on there. The inner tie rod ends are the ends that are left-handed threads, and the outer are the right-handed threads, so keep that in mind. Obviously it only goes on one direction. So you're going to run your jam nut on there on the inner end, then you're going to take the other half of the tie rod, Already got the sleeve and the jam nut on there. Threaded on there. Alright, now that you got the entire tie rod put together, I'm going to go ahead and measure it just to get a ballpark. I did measure my other tie rods before I pulled them apart just to get close when I put it back together, but I will do a proper alignment once I get the tie rod attached back to the knuckle again. Alright, that's close enough right there. Alright, see if this hold around here. Alright. We're gonna put a little bit of NICs on this cone here on the end of the tie rod end, just to make sure it doesn't get seized up. This side was good, but the other side was seized up when I tried to take it apart. I had problems with it, so just gonna put a little bit of that on there. Should keep it from having issues in the future. Slide that right back up in there. Thread the tassel nut back on. Click. Yep, that's torqued. Alright. We gotta line up the hole for the cotter pin with the threads and the castle nut. A little bit more. Should be close enough. Alright, just gonna stick the cotter pin back in here. Spin around. Should be good to go. Alright, we got new tie rod sleeves in. There's one. There's two. Still gotta do an alignment, get everything lined up just right, but it should be much better than the other ones. Thanks for watching.